Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So I decided that I'm going to kind of give you guys the comparison between
6:20 p.m. One UI home. Device unlocked. Screen off.
the Android, the Samsung Galaxy S25 FE, and the iPhone 16e. So there isn't really much of a difference, but I'm really going to get into a story. So you guys buckle up. We're about to go on a little hayride, if you will. So it all started when, back in school, I wasn't really on my phone much. And this is why I'm getting to about the whole thing with the battery life. So from what I can see on both the iPhone and the Samsung, well, the Samsung phone, all Android phones will tell you how much time until it's fully charged on the home screen and in the notifications. Now, Apple doesn't do this. Sure, you can go into settings, you can go into whatever, and battery, it'll say 80%, 100%, and it'll say how much, okay? So basically, Apple's trying to copy Android. Now, we both know that Android's still better than Apple, in a sense. So I'm not going to show you a demonstration because it's not something I'm planning on doing, but I did come back and say that I was going to do a battery life demonstration. Now, I got in this Samsung phone on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. I've taken a week to test out its features and everything. I really love the phone. It's really amazing. And I will continue to use it. Now, I am an iPhone user, okay? I have a backup, an iPhone, and I just can't help but think about iPhone. I'm glad I didn't get rid of mine because of the simple fact that, as about as frustrated as I was with this iPhone 17 Pro, what it technically did and why I switched to Android for my main device is technically because Apple was being sluggish with VoiceOver for the iPhone 17 Pro. I had found out that there was a problem with the 17 Pro line. And it just, if it was Signal, if it was the whole thing with me calling my carrier every month about the phone and having issues upon issues with the phone, it was about time that I changed it up a little bit. But when I first went to school with an iPhone 5C, I used to use it as an alarm clock. And I would wake up every morning, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. That was nice, okay? underlying issue is, well, there's no issue, but the underlying situation is the simple fact that I am the type of person that likes to mess with my phone, okay? Now, when you're during schoolwork, you don't really mess with your phone as much. So, classes would start at 8 a.m. for me, okay? It would start at 8 a.m. for me and end at 3:45 p.m. My phone would be in the upper 70s to lower 70s, and I would always go to bed and charge it up. And I used to, when my iPhone would be in the 80s, okay, throw it on the charger, get it up to 100%, and then I found out that's unnecessary energy overnight. So, before I switched, I don't even do it with my 16E. But when I got the iPhone 16E, if it needed to be charged at night, I charged it at night. If it needed to be charged during the day, I charged it during the day. So I get about, on the iPhone, I get about 2 days out of it. With the Samsung, I get about 2 days out of it. Okay. Maybe a little bit more, right? Let's take a look at why I get about 2 days out of it. So my issue was why my phone was dying so quickly. I had the screen lock disabled. With the Android, I didn't mess with the screensaver on it, and it shuts off. I used to be very, upset with why is it shutting off like every 30 seconds, and I kept it on. And it was trying to say, hey, a bunch of people told me, why do you not have the screen lock set to 30 seconds? Well, obvious. So that's why the battery would die in the afternoon. Okay, it's not so much as using the phone. The iPhone still has non-impressive battery than Android. So the only time Android uses battery is when you're working with it. iPhone, on the other hand, uses more battery, or uses not as much, but some. So, to give you guys an idea that I've messed with my Android long enough to give a valid opinion, okay? It was this. Okay, Samsung, watch. It's when you have a Samsung phone or Google Pixel or whatever, when you have Motorola, Samsung, Google, okay? When you have an Android phone, it uses UI or one UI, not UI1. I said that backwards. It uses one UI. And when it uses one UI, it doesn't use as much battery power unless it absolutely has to. So like, for an example, let's say you're on a Google Meet. Okay, so you could be on Google Meet And what tends to happen is it will not lock the screen. I know because I've done it. I've been on a Google Meet and, attended what I attended, got off, and my Android phone didn't really use as much battery, but again, at 44%, throw it up on the charger, brought it up to 100, didn't need to do that, right? Here's the proper way to do it now. I'm going to give you guys tips on how to better fix your phone's battery. Breakout of, oh my god, my phone's at 23%. Might as well plug it in. Okay, stop there. Yes, plug it in. If it's below 30% that night, 30% or below. If it's 29%, plug it in at night. If it is in the upper 20s during the day and your phone gets to 23% and you go to bed at, let's say, 11 p.m. or 12 a.m., you will have you'll have to plug it in unless you want it to die. Now, with both iPhones, the 17 Pro and the 16e, what has happened was I'd sit there and I'd throw on something to go to sleep. Wake up, the phones would be dead under me, okay? Both of them. I've been really bad about charging it. I've had to learn my own habits. Nobody told me this is what you need to do. I've had to learn. So, now I'm telling you, during the day, you take your iPhone, Android, whatever. If it is 29% during the day, you're around a charger, do not charge it. Why? Because it's best to wait until it is low battery, which is anywhere between 15 to 20% for either phone. Now, at 21%, I would say go ahead, throw it on the charger, and recharge it. Bring a battery pack if it's below 30% and if you're anticipating on using it. Now, here's what you do, okay? When your phone is around 39%, charge your battery pack. You're going to need to. Why? The worst thing to do is to bring a half or a 50% charged battery pack, a half charged battery pack. Charge it up when your phone is less than 40%. Make sure you plug it in if you're going to be on the phone constantly, the way I used to be, and all of that. I can't stress it out more than to say, go ahead and get it charged. When you get the battery pack charged and you're going somewhere and your phone is 20% or 15%, plug it in and leave it until either one, the battery pack is dead or the phone is fully charged and you can glimpse the screen. Another thing is when you get back home and your phone is at 55% and it's on the battery pack, when you get home and you can stop and sit, plug it in a fast charger, and call it good. Now, another thing you're going to want is you're going to want a wireless charger at night. So, I got a Mophie charging pad, and then I was given another charging pad that also charges my Samsung Watch. And what I learned is, okay, when the devices are dying, when they're less than 20%, throw it on the charger and just let it sit for, I want to say, for a Samsung Galaxy S25 FE, depending on the charger, depending on the battery percentage, it'll tell you on the screen how much time until full. On a Samsung Galaxy Watch, I'd set a timer for 2.5 hours just to make sure it's fully charged, and then take it off and then put it on, and then repeat the process again. So I've had to learn different charging habits. You don't need to plug it in at 40% for it to charge the extra 60%, but you don't have to do this every night you go to bed unless you are a heavy user and are constantly on it. So, try to, if you're not really a heavy user, keep the screen lock turned off unless you're looking at YouTube videos or stuff like that, and you're looking up something like flying watermelons or porcupine-shaped mashed potatoes, something stupid, and you find it funny, go right on ahead and do it. But I just figured to give you guys some helpful tips and what I've learned. I really love my Samsung phone a lot, and I can do what I couldn't have done with an iPhone 17 Pro. Stay safe and take care. Have a great one.